Welcome back, everyone. We will resume open session at 7:15 p.m. So at this time, I will report back from closed session. There was discussion, but no actions were taken. Yes. And moving on to item number 5 from the floor. So our meetings are recorded, and if you need interpretation, Spanish interpretation, there is a button at the bottom, and if you press that, you'll be able to hear our meeting from the other side. Can I ask Trustee Polito to please announce that as well?
Absolutely. Buenas noches a todos. Si les gustaría escuchar esta junta en español, por favor oprime el icono de interpretación.
Thank you. So moving on to item number 5, which is from the floor. So if there's any persons wishing to address the board on matters that are not posted on the agenda, you may do so at this time by using the raise hand function. I see no hands, so we will move on to item number 6, which is the consent agenda. As you all know, item 6J was pulled, which is health connected.
Through the chair.
Mrs. Jin?
I know that the trustee had pulled the item 6J. I also needed to update the rationale because I had made a mistake in terms of the rationale saying that the 5th grade was an opt-in program. It is also a passive consent, so families get the opportunity to opt out.
Thank you for clarifying that. And I think for me, that's one of the many concerns I have with this item. The fact that it is a passive engagement for parents to be able to opt in or opt out. I also felt that the curriculum should be included with the consent form so parents can review when they receive the flyer, the consent form, which we don't currently do. And I'm also had some concern about the 5th grade curriculum and if it was a bit premature for their age to digest. So for me, there's a lot of layers to why I don't feel comfortable voting for this, which is why I pulled it, not to make it a non-vote, but just to be able to voice my vote in a way that reflects my concern.
Through the chair.
Trustee Alexander?
To Trustee Polito's concerns, this is the same or very similar to the one that I was trained in the district where I just finished teaching 5th grade. And similar questions came up during the teacher training of this program. And once I was trained in it and I realized what was specifically allowed to be said to the students, and based on the student questions, what we were specifically told not to say in 5th grade, I found it much more appropriate, because in the 5th grade curriculum, it was all about science and biology. And everything was, so any of the questions that the kids might have asked that would have been more about personal relationships, what we were told was to tell them to ask a trusted adult, and then that will be covered in 7th grade. So I don't know if that addresses some of the concerns you might have had, but that addressed a lot of our concerns as educators who had never taught the program before. So
thank you for sharing that with me. I think that is helpful information when I think about the curriculum portion for the 5th grade. But then I don't know why, if that is, because I did realize that it was duplicate kind of themes in both grades. So that's why I was confused on if some of those topics are reserved for middle school grades, because I feel like it's just a better time for them to be able to understand, digest, and have these conversations, then why is it even included in the 5th grade curriculum when they're 10 years old and they're still not at that point of being able to engage in these topics in the way that they really need in order to be able to understand them and have those discussions. So why not focus it on the areas that are appropriate for their grade level and allow the remaining topics to be associated to the 7th grade level? That's why I don't feel like the 5th grade level should even note that. If the discussion is go talk, we're going to wait till 7th grade to have those discussions, then what is the purpose of including it in 5th grade as well? And that was one piece of it. And the other piece of it is, for me, was a communication with parents, the way the consent forms are made. I think it should be intentionally opting in rather than passively opting out. And I believe the curriculum should be included with consent forms. I think parents need to be informed about what's happening, because what's happening right now is I'm hearing a lot of concern about parents receiving unexpected surprises from their kids coming home from school. I've encouraged parents to, speak to their school sites and reference them that way. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I don't, especially with summer happening. But either way, I think the process I'm concerned about. And then to your point, some of what you mentioned, Trustee Alexander, was another piece. It does ease my concern the way you've explained it, but then it just further makes me feel like, then why do we even have this a part of this curriculum for this grade level? So that's how I feel about it, and I don't feel comfortable as is voting for this item in favor of.
Through the chair, I'm wondering, I might have missed something, so please excuse me. But in the MOU, it says, maybe we just need to double down on detail. It says 1 week of puberty education to 5th graders, 2 weeks of sexual health education to 7th graders. So I have a perception of what that means, but it sounds like 5th graders are just getting puberty education. But so is that, maybe just someone can further explain.
I would say the curriculum that I saw in the permission slip that I saw goes way beyond puberty, because I thought that 5th grade was the one that concentrated on puberty, because I think we've all taken that right when we were in 5th grade. But the curriculum goes way beyond puberty. And I think what Trustee Alexander was saying is that they don't really go in depth into the other topics. But even the permission slips that Superintendent Sadaria sent us earlier, it noted the other topics that had to do with like sexual preferences or orientation. I think there was a few listed. I think there was like 5 bullet points. I can't remember. I'm trying to pull it up right now. So it's a broader range of topics that are also covered in 7th grade, which is why I was kind of even more so concerned that we have it included in 5th grade. If it was puberty and hygiene and that information, I get it. But as is right now, that's why I raised the concern, because the information that was provided to me went beyond those topics.
Sorry, through the chair, I can just read the bullet points. It says puberty, physical and sexual development, decision-making and asking for help, family communication, personal hygiene, conception and pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, gender, sexual identity and sexual orientation, personal safety, consent, and body boundaries. So it sounds like it's very informative versus like it still sounds like it's like a puberty talk, but it's including more inclusive language and understanding of the language is what it looked like when I looked at the actual curriculum. It looked like it was more general information, not necessarily like open for questions or whatever. Like it sounds like it's a very informative type of the puberty talk plus, but I don't think that it's talking about sexual preferences. I think that it's giving information about these specific topics.
That's exactly, through the chair, that's exactly what we were told in our training, Trustee Bloom. Yeah, that was said very succinctly. And that if the kids do ask questions about specifically about relationships between people, that's when they were told to defer to 7th grade, to trust. But if you don't want to wait till 7th grade, to ask a trusted adult. But specifically in the class, we were told, do not discuss those things with 5th graders.
Right, but I just don't feel comfortable with some of the topics. I don't think they're appropriate for 5th graders. I think a lot of it is great, but even if I can get with the, it doesn't really go into depth. We're taught to do X, Y, or Z. I still don't feel like the process is allowing our parents to be informed and knowledgeable and make decisions that are best for their students and their families. I understand that this permission slip is sent out, or opt out. It is about, I think you have to opt out, right? So, and they don't get the curriculum to review it before they can make an informed decision. Some of them think that, some of them might be worried about what's being covered, right? And they get the curriculum, they're like, oh, okay, this is a good idea for my student, or vice versa. There's certain topics that, parents want to have the right to discuss with their own students and their own children. And that's why I think there has to be more information provided. We have to actively be willing and be able to do it in order to have families feel like they know what they're signing on for. I mean, I'm concerned when I'm hearing parents severely alarmed about what they felt was unexpected. And our families shouldn't feel like that. Our families should feel like they know what's happening in the classroom, they know what their students are being taught, and they know they have a right to have their students engaged or not have their students engaged. And I think we've taken some steps, but I think that we fall a little short. And so as is, I'm still not comfortable voting in favor of this, but I understand everybody has their own perspective on it, and I'm not trying to hold the vote, but I do want to make clear my rationale and my concerns.
Through the chair, I have one question. The permission slip that we send out, do we send that out to parents before, like the week before or whatever, with the date when it starts? And can we send that through Parent Square, since we have that ability now, and have like a read receipt or like signing up your kid? Because we did that for a lot of stuff this year as a parent. So is that something that we are planning on doing? Because it looks like it says it's starting on this date. So then if a parent does want to opt out or does want to leave, there's like an active way that they know that.
Normally, the teachers would send home the notices 2 weeks beforehand with the dates of the specific classes for the guest speakers coming in. And we absolutely could send it through Parent Square. Additionally, to address some of Trustee Polito's concerns, I can work with Health Connected so that we have a 5th grade parent night and a 7th grade parent night, so that they are aware of the more specifics that are covered and can ask questions.
Through the chair, thank you, Ms. Chin. That's exactly what I was going to ask about as well.
Okay,
All right.
through the chair, can I ask, why can we not do the opt-in versus the opt-out?
In the 2016 California Healthy Youth Act, they changed the language to for the way that the districts shall, I can't remember the language. I'll have to pull up the correct language.
Through the chair, it's my understanding that all school districts in California have the opt-in policy.
Or opt-out policy.
I mean, the opt-out policy, exactly, sorry. So we're not unique in doing this.
But are we restricted from doing opt-in?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. I know that we're not unique. I just want to know, are we restricted?
So this is Ed Code 51 519.3. Just I scrolled past it too far. Sorry. 51938, section A. It says the district shall not require active parental consent for comprehensive sexual health education and HIV prevention education. But at the beginning of that, it does say that the families have the right to opt out.
Thank you.
So it sounds like we are restricted from being able to do an opt-in based on the language.
I believe so, based on the language.
So we will go. Do you want to? So I'm not clear. Are we going to, with this section, do we continue with the consent agenda, or are we going vote by vote?
No, you would have to first vote on this and then move on.
Okay. So for item 6J, the consideration to approve the MOU with Health Connected as is, or with the comments made by the board. Sorry, asking clarifying questions.
Through the chair, may I? It would still need the correction for the rationale. The rationale mistakenly says opt out or opt in for 5th grade, but it's actually opt out.
Okay. So I will entertain a vote for item 6J, which is a consideration to approve MOU with Health Connected with the update of the passive consent opt out.
And didn't they note that they would have 5th grade and 7th grade like nights to explain this to parents?
Parent night.
Parent night, where they can explain this. And I would also add to share the curriculum with parents that are in that grade, just so they have it on hand, they can review, and we don't make anyone feel like we're hiding anything or trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. That would be great.
Through the chair, it is copyrighted material, so I would have to work with them regarding the copyrighted material if we're saying that we're trying to pass it out to everybody, as opposed to accessible.
You wouldn't have to show the entire curriculum, but you could show more detail about the topics, like what you're saying about a topic, I think, without showing what the lesson is.
I just want to make a note, sorry, that the website has a lot of information on it. And if we're doing a parent night, we can talk about the topics and we can show them the website. There's a contact page there, there's in the classroom. So I think that as long as we're doing a parent night and we have access to this website that's also linked on this permission form, I feel like we could move forward with just the parent night, and then we can do our due diligence and trust the teachers and the staff and the principals, or the 5th grade teachers and the 7th grade teachers, that on that parent night, they give an overview of what that means and answer questions from the parents.
I will say to that the majority of our parents aren't getting information from the website. That's not where they're getting to get their source of information. Although I think it's great that we do have it on there as far as transparency and access. And I think it should be on there. Like I said, I think we need to, based on what I'm hearing, we need to take a couple more steps than what we're already doing to make sure we're doing our due diligence and informing our parents to go beyond what we've done thus far. That is my belief, and why I'm saying that is based on feedback that I've received.
Yeah, I think we also need to be aware of our community. There has been a lot of comments recently about not being able to access websites or materials that are online. So if we can exhaust all measures to try to make sure that we're providing the information and that it's actually being received in a manner that school district parents feel like is accessible to them, then I think taking that extra step is necessary. So if we don't have additional comments, the floor is open for a motion to approve item 6J with the update and with the board input.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 6J with the update and the board input.
Thank you.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Oppose.
Vice President Shabomahin,
I.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Nay.
Trustee Bloom.
Yes.
The motion carries 3-2 with President Latu and Trustee Polito opposing. We will go back to the consent agenda. And with the correction for item 6E from math to science, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shabomahin,
I.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Yes.
And the motion carries 5-0. So now we will move on to item number 7, which is special recognition. And for 7A, the consideration to approve resolution 2020-2021-25 in honor of Michelle M. Sharkey. I will pass it on to you, Superintendent Sedaria.
Yes, I will have some help reading the resolution, but we wanted to make sure that we acknowledge someone who has been instrumental in the work in Ravenswood City School District, Michelle Sharkey, who's away having some fun right now, but made the time to make sure she pops in. And that's what she does, is that she figures out how to get things done. And she does it enthusiastically, and she does it with such skill and commitment. And so I'm proud to be able to read this resolution along with Trustee Alexander that highlights the contributions that she's made in the Ravenswood City School District with her partnership with the 49ers Academy. So the resolution 2020-2021-25 in honor of Michelle M. Sharkey reads,
Whereas Michelle M. Sharkey was an RCSD employee with a vision and advocacy for East Palo Alto youth that resulted in the writing and approval of the original grant funding to establish an innovative public-private partnership and open the 49ers Academy in 1996 as a Ravenswood School District school. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey's persistent devotion to the development of the youth of Ravenswood City School District laid the foundation for the 49ers Academy for Young Men, a single gender school, and soon after expanding to include young women, to ensure they would develop the social, emotional, and academic skills required to achieve success in middle school and beyond.
And whereas Michelle M. Sharkey recognized the need to bring innovative programs to Ravenswood City School District and worked to establish and expand those programs by raising funds to secure necessary services, mentors, supplies, and support, and their families, ensuring these students reach their full potential. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey, through her compassion and her perseverance, has built a family in the 49ers Academy, where former students are now members of her staff. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey, for the past 25 years, has led the way in motivating funders and donors to commit to and invest in the Ravenswood City School District, its students and families. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey's vision to establish a public-private partnership with the Ravenswood City School District and the San Francisco 49ers Foundation, serving in the capacity of both Ravenswood employee and 49ers Academy's executive director, providing funding for much needed wraparound services benefiting both elementary and middle school students. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey has a heart of gold and has done so much, there aren't enough words, pictures, or testimonies that speak to her passionate work, including inspiring and supporting teachers to advocate for students, resulting in teacher retention in the Ravenswood City School District. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey was always open to considering multiple viewpoints and bringing equitable programs and services for students, including moving the 49ers Academy to Castaño School's campus, building of the Castaño Science Lab, implementing after-school instructional programs, the Washington, D.C. trip for 8th graders, and the science camp for 6th graders. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey truly believed in every child and worked strategically and tirelessly to build an extended school family that focused on creating meaningful opportunities and authentic mentorships. She created a partnership between families and school during the important middle school through high school years. Michelle built a program that uniquely supported a public school and provided the middle school. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey fought inequitable schooling systems and policies while creating a program that utilized trusting relationships as their secret sauce. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey's advocacy for equity, opportunity, and change has had an impact on the trajectory of 49ers Academy's alumni and their families for multiple generations. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey recognized the need to bring innovative programs to Ravenswood City School District and expand the opportunities for students to reach their highest potential. And
whereas Michelle Sharkey was one of the founding members of the Ravenswood Education Foundation 13 years ago, with the goal of providing funding strength for Ravenswood City School District. And
whereas Michelle M. Sharkey's leadership as a Ravenswood City School District employee, acting as 49ers Academy's executive director, has been instrumental in expanding resources and support to East Palo Alto youth as they successfully transition from Ravenswood City School District to high school, higher education, and beyond.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Ravenswood City School District Board of Trustees congratulates Michelle M. Sharkey on her 25 years of service to the Ravenswood City School District and the 49ers Academy, and wish her many years of continued success.
Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Ravenswood City School District, and we wait right there. And I know Michelle is dying inside because she does the work because she loves the work and she doesn't need this attention whatsoever. And I've had many experiences with Michelle and helping me transition and merge two schools together when the 49ers came to Castaño. And the one thing I can't, share and express enough is the love she has for the students and the continued love that carries on after they leave 49ers Academy. And that's why they always come back. Now throw it back to the chair. I know there might be some people in the audience that want to speak on her behalf too.
So yes, I will open the floor for public comments. If you would wish to share some love, just use the hand raise function and we will move you to a panelist.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a comment.
Trustee Alexander?
When my first year coming to Ravenswood, I don't remember how many years ago that was, I had taught in Palo Alto Unified, and I had a student in my class who was a Tinsley transfer student, and she was a kindergartner in my class. And my first year in Ravenswood, quite a few years after that, I was at the welcoming ceremony at Castaño School, and I saw that student at the school. She had transferred from Palo Alto back to Ravenswood. She was attending the 49ers Academy on the girls' side of the campus. That's when it was still single gender classes. And she's told me that it was powerful having single gender classes there. And I know we don't do that anymore, but her appreciation for what Ms. Sharkey had done was incredible. And I don't think, Michelle, I'd ever shared that with you, but I just wanted to share that now, that she really appreciated the fact that she had a chance to be successful in your program.
We will move on to Heather Hopkins.
I have promoted Heather to a panelist. You can speak, Heather.
Thank you. I just wanted to add my heartfelt congratulations to Michelle as well for all of her years of incredible work to the Ravenswood community. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Congratulations.
We will move on to Ms. Rhonda White.
You're muted. Hello. Ding, ding, ding. You're muted. Having a whole conversation by yourself. Hi, my name is Rhonda White, and I'm here today representing Ravenswood Teachers Association. Michelle! Woo, woo! I think Michelle has me by a year, but her and I shared a campus at Brentwood with Brentwood and 49ers. And Michelle, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for your dedication. And most importantly, thank you for your love and your continual relationship and connection with our students and families beyond the classroom. Our last child we shared together had a rough time, but you made that transition to the next life very, very special for her and her family. And that was a hard transition to be on, but I was glad to be a part of it with you. So I just want to say thank you to your dedication to Ravenswood, and most importantly to our families and our community. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you. I see another hand. And I promoted you, Viviana.
Okay.
Sorry, Trustee Alexander.
Hey! So, Michelle, what do I say? Your heart, your love, the depth that you've loved our children and families and advocated for students at every single level. Didn't matter if they were in high school, you made it happen. And then you started building programs in high school because you're like, we need to go there. Your vision, your humor and your style. Thank you, Michelle, from the bottom of my heart. And, on behalf of all the students and families that aren't here at this moment, thank you. I saw it. We've been there together, Gina, like it's like on the ground, making it happen, full of love. Thank you, Michelle.
To the chair.
Great to see you, Viviana.
Trustee Polito.
So I would just like to say a huge, big thank you to Michelle. She chose to be at Ravenswood, and I always love people who choose Ravenswood, right? I think it speaks volumes of who they are and what they value. Over the last 25 years, Michelle has, in her work that she's led, that she's facilitated, has contributed significantly to what we've done at Ravenswood, and it really has helped move the needle because, some people say it takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to educate a child, to properly educate a child, right? So it really takes partners who are invested, who are passionate, and who love the community and what they do to be able to bring people together, to bring funds together. And even though she was always very quiet, she was never looking for the spotlight. I appreciate how busy she was behind the scenes, making things happen. I mean, just last week, she coordinated our groundbreaking ceremony at Cesar Chavez Ravenswood Middle School. And I'm still smiling from ear to ear from getting to meet Steve Young. But that's just a small glimpse of what Michelle does, right? The work that she does behind the scenes. So I want to say thank you. I'm happy to hear that she's not going too far, and she'll still be around and have her hand in a couple things related to Ravenswood. So thank you for being a partner. Thank you for choosing Ravenswood, and we're wishing you the best in your next chapter. And I got to meet the young woman who will be taking your place, and we're excited to embrace her as well. And thank you for your many years.
Through the chair.
Vice President Shibomaheen.
It'll be fast because I don't know what this resolution failed to say. Like, it literally said every single thing anyone could have said about you, Michelle. I think it left out one thing. It left out the fact that you did all of this while you are also a mother. And to me, that speaks very personal, because I too am a mother of multiple kids, as you are. And to be able to share your time and your heart with other people, with another community, the way that you have, in such a huge way, while also being such an amazing mother to these little humans. Well, your humans are grown now. Like, that's a big deal. And I think, our society many times undervalues that, but that takes a lot. I think of people who don't, who are just looking after themselves, and they can barely do half of this stuff on this resolution. And you've done all of this while taking care of your family. And that is, I think, a true amazing gift to us all. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Sharkey family, for sharing your mother with us. And just thank you.
I will just also chime in real quick. I only met Michelle recently. And so I just also want to say thank you. The two things that stand out to me, the first thing is that she just radiates like such a welcoming, kind personality. So when you see her, you're just drawn to her, and like, hey, I can talk to this person like I've known them for a really long time. And I think that goes to the fact that you have invested in this community and you've made it your own. So I just want to say thank you to that. And then the second thing I want to say thank you to is that I get to have kids that get to go through all the stuff that you have prepared the way for. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because this is something that impacts our families and my family. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Michelle Sharkey, that's definitely going to be a name that I remember. And I have a lot of young people in my life that have benefited from your program. And I just want to highlight kind of a little bit of the magnitude. I don't think I'm even going to be able to hit it, but there are generations of young people from our community that have benefited from your innovation, your creativity, and the work that you were able to do. You've been doing this work for almost as long as I've been on this earth. And that is amazing to me. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you've done and continue to do. And there are like hundreds and thousands of young people out there that if they were to hear your name, it'll bring a smile to their face, because they'll remember something positive that you were able to do in their lives. So with that being said, I will entertain a motion to approve. I
wanted to say something. You can't see me
Solomon,
because I'm the host. Sorry.
We will kick it back to Solomon.
Yeah, Michelle, I've known you, gosh, many, many years, to over 20 years. Couple words I didn't hear. One is social entrepreneur. That's definitely a title. You're one of the original social entrepreneurs around. Got to sit around the table with you the other day, and feels like we're in startup mode again. But you've done amazing work, and I've always been a big, big fan, as you know. Sitting around the table with you brought me back to you're putting on the Dalai Lama event here. Worked with you on that. That was huge. Again, you did it behind the scenes. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life working with you on that. And I'm just glad you're not going anywhere. That's it.
Thank you, Solomon. Through the chair, I also just wanted to mention that Michelle has a team at the 49ers Academy who helped also make tonight happen. And so I just want to acknowledge Maria Chavez and her 49ers Academy team who uplift her and who she motivates on a daily basis. And Yes, so thank you to her team.
Thank you. So now I will entertain a motion to approve 7A, the consideration to approve the resolution 2020/2021-25 in honor of Michelle M. Sharkey.
Through the chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 7A.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Are we going to let her get off the
wait,
hook?
we have to read. We have to read.
Before we read, are we going to let her get off the hook without saying anything?
Oh, right. I apologize.
We can wait. It might not pass, so then she shouldn't say. You
Okay.
should wait until it passes, right?
Yeah or no? Do I read it?
Okay, we'll read it,
thought we
we'll
just
approve
read
it,
it,
and then
though.
we'll bring it back. Oh, just she saw it. It's because we entertained it, so we have to read a section of it, and then we vote, and then we'll come back, Michelle.
Oh, I thought
Trustee
we read the
Alexander.
thing already, sorry.
Okay. Resolution 2020-2021-25 in honor of Michelle M. Sharkey. Whereas Michelle M. Sharkey was a Ravenswood employee with a vision and advocacy for East Palo Alto youth that resulted in the writing and approval of the regional grant funding to establish ...
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shabal Maheen,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
I,
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
And the resolution carries 5-0. And at this time, before we move on, we will hear from Michelle.
Just in so many worlds, I was a big thing. I can't talk you guys. I am so emotional. Thank you so much. Ravenswood is my life and my greatest joy, and I'm just so honored to be included with everyone on this call. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. My heart and soul belong to you all, and I look forward to the next 25.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you. And now we will move on to item 7B, which is a special presentation by yours truly. I promise not to cry because everyone on this call knows I'm a marshmallow, but I'll read. On behalf of the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board, we would like to take this time to give a special recognition to Nelly Maldonado. We honor Nelly Maldonado for her many years of service and commitment to the board and the district. Nelly has played a crucial role in supporting the board navigate daily objectives and staying on top of short and long-term goals. I would just like to share how Nelly kind of impacted me, and I, of course, will also open this up for the other board members to chime in. But Nelly, you have been so crucial, especially with my transition to a trustee as well as to being the president. You always keep me on track, and you always remind me if I'm forgetting anything. You just texted me about 15 minutes ago about something that I forgot. And so I would just like to take this time to really honor you because you deserve to be honored, and you have helped us so much throughout this course. And I just wanted to make sure that we had a time to really be able to share some of our well wishes to you, especially going forward. And I had to put this item as this in the agenda because you handle the agenda. And so we wanted to make sure that this aspect was a surprise. And I can tell by the board members, it was a surprise to them too. But of course, Nelly, just thank you so much. Like, you have a very special place in my heart. And I just wish you all the happiness going forward.
Through the chair, thank you for putting this on the agenda. 100%. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nelly, I think you know how I feel about you. And when we a couple meetings ago, I think that's where I shared most of my words. But of course, I got to say something here too, since we're sharing. And this is like the official recognition. But I just want to officially say thank you for all the work you've done, for the district. But especially with me, just like you've worked with Melee, you absolutely were essential to my transition to the board. And bigger than that, I think just your friendship. And I consider you a family friend. I think last time I called you Auntie Nelly, and I really meant that, because you never failed, I think, to ask about the kids, to ask about Tunde, to ask how his work, what's going on, what's happening here. You never fail to ask, what do you want on your sandwich? What do you like in your tea? What do you want sugar? Like, you just treat me like I just went to my favorite auntie's house every time I see you. And on top of that, right, you're the one who's, calling in and telling us, hey, no, you actually read the resolution before you vote on it, just all the time. You're doing the things, and helping us with the things we should know, but don't quite ever remember. And that will be like sorely missed, along with all the fuzzy stuff I just mentioned about being family, which I really believe in. The organic relationship between life and family and work. And I believe you make it feel like that every time I go to the district office. You make it feel like it's family. So that will be missed. And I hope you stay in touch with us all. And I'm going to mute now before I cry.
I will also just say very quickly, I think that Bronwyn and I probably have the least amount of time working with Nelly, but it may be me more so because Bronwyn was a district employee as well at one point. But one thing I've noticed about Nelly is that she's always willing to welcome you and to take care of you. And the one meeting we've had in person, she was like, you want tea? She's like, there's this tea, but then there's also this really good tea. She's like, you didn't put enough. And so that's one thing that, I think that there's an extreme amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, from taking care of the trustees, but also taking care of all of the details. And I'm very appreciative of that, of Nelly being willing to answer my questions about filing the stuff at the right time and place. Even when I had a silly question, she's like, oh, no, it's different. Don't worry. Just making us know that, helping us know that we have the resources to be able to get the things done and to serve our community well. And I think that without Nelly, our board would not be able to serve our community. So thank you so much. And I really hope that you get lots of rest and that you have someone or people that will come to you and give you the good tea and tell you when it's not enough sugar, not enough whatever, so that it tastes good too. And come over, I'll make you some chaya. So.
Through the chair, I think I'd also like to add on. So Nelly is probably the first person in the district who I actually learned the name of in the district office walking through, 15, 16 years ago. And I don't know why, but always I've seen Nelly there. And she's been the one constant in the district office because everybody else moves around so much. And Nelly has always been in the same place until very recently. So I always knew where I could find Nelly if I had a question. Nelly, I truly hope, I know that I'm going to be working on the same side of the bridge where you live. So maybe I'll run into you over there somewhat. I really hope that I can. I will truly miss being able to work with you for more than just the 6 months that we've been on the board. You will be very, very, very missed.
All right, so I'll finish off by saying, Nelly, you're going to be terribly missed. You have a way of making each person feel welcomed and appreciated and valued. I've only seen you conduct yourself with kindness and respect to everyone you engage and interact with. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times when I needed some information or I made a call, and even when I can get no one, I could get you, and you would be responsive, and you would always get me the information that I needed to either be informed, or if I was going to be getting interviewed and I had a last minute question, you were that person. I've been here for some time now. I've been through 3 superintendents, and the one constant that has been you. And you have transitioned boards from superintendent to superintendent to superintendent. And the wealth of knowledge and history and experience you have cannot be duplicated, cannot be replicated, and you are going to be missed severely by the board, and I'm sure by several other of your colleagues. I can't hold it against you that you've decided to retire. I think it's more than well deserved. I have much love for you, Nellie. I rarely mix relationships, but I hold you as a friend, and I hope you see the same thing in me. Thank you for being fair. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for being generous. Thank you for reminding all of us about the billions of things we have to do and we forget to do. You are that person to all of us. You taught me so much about being a board member just by providing information and making things accessible to me. When I didn't know what exactly I was doing the first, year or so, and I was figuring it out, you would fill in those gaps and those holes of questions and doubts and concerns I had. So you're irreplaceable, Nellie, and you will be missed. And thank you for all your years that you have invested into this district. I know you loved your job, and I know you love this district. I know you love this community, and we all love you right back.
Through the chair.
Superintendent?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, Nellie, I'm definitely going to have your line on my hip as a bat dial or bat line. The institutional knowledge that you have is, and it's insurmountable, and there's going to be a lot that we are going to probably still need to reach out to you and get some information. To what all the other board members have mentioned in regards to like taking care of, even like the nurturing piece, knowing that we would have a long board meeting or what have you, whether it's a tea that you bring in or a piece of cake, it has gotten me through some of the long afternoons and evenings. And I just thank you for caring and doing your due diligence in what you do every single day for over 30 years. Thank you, Nellie.
I see that we have a hand.
So I just promoted Rhonda White. There she is.
Hi, Nellie. Congratulations. I know people are wondering, what is the RTA president doing? But just so you guys know, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart from RTA. Nellie and I work a lot together, and it's usually because she sent me something to sign and I have forgotten to sign it, and she will track me down. Hey, Rhonda, how are you doing? You know, that document I sent you, I really need you to sign it. Or on that one day that I just happened to stop at the district office, she's like, Rhonda, I've got that. I need you to sign. Come on in. And I'm like, you're right, Nellie. I'll be right over. Here I come. So, Nellie, as sad as we are for you to leave, you have dedicated so many years to the students and families of Ravenswood, and you deserve this more than anyone. So I just want to echo what everyone else has said. I appreciate your nurturing. How you doing, Rhonda? How is it going? Is everything okay? Do you need anything? Give me a hug. So Nellie, thank you for just being you, for sticking it out, for being here through so many superintendents, and for all the knowledge you carry. We appreciate you and we love you, and congratulations. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you. Solomon, I see that your hand is up.
Yep. Nellie, worked with you for a long, long time. And we've been great colleagues. I want to thank you first for always providing sustenance for us when we need it. as recently as tonight. You've always really known when we're exhausted and offered things to us, and really wanted to thank you for that. But I think the thing that's most impressed me, I forgot to start my own timer. The thing that most impressed me was, is that in all these years, I have never one time heard you speak ill of anyone, not one time. If I heard you say a bad thing about a colleague, even people who maybe disrespected you, right? I've never once heard you do that. And that's something I really admire about you. The other thing I really admire about you, having been here a long time, is what an awesome mom you are. You've had like the most well-adjusted, brilliant, smart, accomplished kids. You know, one's a doctor. I mean, they've all very successful careers, and you're an amazing mother. So on top of everything else. So thank you. It's like an end of a dynasty with you leaving. It's a big deal for the district. So thanks for your everything.
Thank you. Nellie, do you want to say a word?
Yes. I really didn't expect this recognition, and I really, really appreciate it. I love to work for all of you, for the families in Ravenswood, the kids. Even though that I was working in an office, I sometimes raise money from a bank to send 20 students to Washington, D.C. because I heard that Red City used to take them, but the parents paid, but our parents couldn't pay. So I raised the money, and for several years, we sent 20 students with the highest scores in math. They were, we told them, and they were making sure that they wanted to go, because some of them even didn't go to Red City. They didn't live in Palo Alto because some of them live with grandparents. When I started working there, all the families were so poor, they didn't have a lot. So we, the superintendent and Michelle also started a needy children fund where this could provide the students with classes, tools, food, and it was so glad to see the parents when they receive it, with also giving gift on Christmas. We deliver the present at the houses, and sometimes the parents were crying because they said I didn't have money. They thought that the kids were not going to receive anything for Christmas, and and then I also was very involved with teachers when we didn't have enough bilingual teachers. I contacted the State Department of Education because the superintendent asked me, how can we bring these teachers from Mexico? So instead of, the State Department of Education said that they had that program, and but Mexico couldn't live. I mean, we couldn't bring teachers from Mexico because there were not enough teachers. And then we started bringing from Spain. Later, we could bring them from Mexico. And then when we have problems with special education and couldn't find teachers in the United States, the same program in the county told me that they also have teachers from the Philippines who were really good in special education. So we also brought in teachers. I helped them with the visas. I was meeting with the consulate, and I learned everything. I took classes to help them and to get the visas. And so I'm so glad with all those things besides, and of course, working with the board. It was, I cannot say with words all the emotion and the love and everything that I have for all of you. I never had any problem with any board members. All of them was, all of you were so good and kind, and I feel like family, and Ravenswood is like my home, and will always be. And you know that all of you know that everyone can call me anytime, and I'll be there.
We're gonna call you, Nelly.
I would love. I really appreciate this. This recognition makes me feel like it was. I mean, I can't say with words and feel, but it's an emotion that I feel that I thought that everything, no one care about all the things. No care, but notice anything that, and I didn't, I don't know how to explain it, but I really appreciate this recognition. I love it. And like I said, with all my heart, thank you. And like I said, you can call me anytime, and you know my phone. But thank you again.
Although
you all.
technically, I think I don't know that you can work 6 months after you retire. So Gina, you're gonna have to figure that one out on. You know, you're
volunteer on the
of
DL.
no work.
The bat line.
She has to get paid for her institutional knowledge. She earned it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelly. So now we will be moving on to item number 8, which is from the superintendent's office. And we'll start off with 8A, the end of the year reflection.
Yes, and I promise I will be quick. I wanted to share with you some of the other ideas too. I was working with Jenna walked up front of us as she too was doing an year-end closing and just giving some updates. And it's pretty amazing what Ravenswood City School District has accomplished in such a short period of time. I am going to share my screen once I get myself situated here. And Melee, if you can give me a thumbs up when you see the title page. Okay, I did it. Okay. Yeah, so very quickly, last summer, we were in the midst of trying to figure out how to get devices to also our our new students, but all the students, right? Making sure that not only did they have the laptops, but our younger ones had iPads. And so the technology team really came together in partnership with the foundation, the Ravenswood Education Foundation, with Chan Zuckerberg, and other support agencies that came to help us make sure that there was no gap in terms of the amount of students who needed technology. It was in their hands, whether it was the devices or the hotspots. It was over 1,000 devices that were distributed. And we could not have made that could not have been accomplished without the staff from the technology department also doing the due diligence and engaging directly with families. So I'm not sure how many technology directors are directly communicating with families, but Solomon was right there amongst all of our parents at the school sites along with his team. And we also established a reopening committee that had trustees along with parents, community partners like the Boys and Girls Club, our counseling, mental health support services. All of our directors were involved along with a couple of our all of our principals. And we had teachers and classified staff. And we wanted to make sure that we heard the voices of all of our stakeholders that make up the community in Ravenswood to ensure that we are addressing needs, we're addressing concerns, and we're keeping everybody informed. And because of just the context in which we were in regards to the positivity rate, unilaterally with the board's approval, we decided to continue with remote learning. So we knew that remote learning wouldn't be able to provide and meet all the needs of our students. And so in partnership with several organizations, like the one that Michelle Sharkey had helped establish, the 49ers Academy, the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula, along with the East Palo Alto Tennis and Tutoring, we were able to launch learning hubs, which allowed students to be on campus supervised, being able to log in, have the devices, have supervision, and make sure that they're able to engage in their learning while on campus. And so we really appreciate the partnership and the staff that helped us transition and also kind of explore how to make this possible and work for when we were truly going to scale up and bring our students back on campus. We were finally able to return to campus. In January, we were able to consider bringing TK, and TK then returned, and then we were able to build up, and we had kindergartners return. We continued monitoring and assessing the COVID situation in our city, thinking about the positivity rate, what color tier were we in? Remember that? Purple, red, orange, yellow, what color are we in? We were in the same color as the rest of the county because of our positivity rate being 3 times as much before we started bringing back students. We were able to then offer to bring back students in person by May 4th. Any student that wanted to come back on campus, they were back on campus by May 4th. And then, so now, not now, but our last day of school was June 16th. At that point, we were able to bring 60% of our student population. And I can't say enough the work that the Reopening School Committee had put in, along with the directors of Ravenswood City School District, that made this possible. I will be able to showcase a little bit more of what we were doing behind the scenes, but I'm just very grateful for the time and commitment beyond the hours of the day to be able to bring our students back on campus. So let me see, I think I accidentally, yes, I missed this point here. The community rallied and came together, and in partnership with the foundation, we were able to provide backpacks to all the children in the Ravenswood City School District with the appropriate materials and supplies for their grade level. We were able to provide tech support for families. The tech department was able to coordinate supports for our families through Street Code, and we brought in that partnership. We were also able to provide over 1 million meals to date to the community for children in the entire East Palo Alto, Eastern Menlo Park community who were under the age of 18. And then amidst all that too, we still had holiday festivities. Nellie was mentioning the years that we've had the holiday toy drive, and the Ref Foundation was still able to pull that off and actually did a major lift where the district wasn't as involved except for at the school sites. And Jasmine actually, who is getting an award for her service to Ref, was the key catalyst in making sure that that was successful, and all the families and parents of Ravenswood were able to bring home a brand new toy to give to their child. So we did all things COVID, and I'm so grateful to be able to come, and I know I speak on behalf of the team, to come out on the other side here. I mean, temperature checks on a daily basis at central office, at every school site, at the learning hubs, to the screening, the health screening questions to make sure families were bringing students, and people who visited the campus were made aware of their own health and status to not impact other people. And we were able to ensure that there was no spread at all at any of our sites, which is fantastic. It's a testament to the due diligence and actually us caring about each other and making sure we were also able to come to work, engage whether or not we should come to work or not. We did the curative testing with the staff. We did the antigen testing towards the end of the year with students. And then the county making sure that the communities that are most affected, that had a high positivity rate, Ravenswood was at the top of the list in terms of the priority, being prioritized to get the vaccine for our staff and partners who provided direct services to students. And then again, constantly monitoring the situation. And I think between our pandemic recovery response coordinator and Wanman Roy, Tony Stone, our HR director, and Cindy Chen, our director of student services, being well informed and up to date on all the guidance so that we can direct staff and we can direct students and families on, do we quarantine or not quarantine? Do we return to work or not return to work? And I still think like there's so many questions of, okay, I got the vaccine. I might have been exposed. Can I come to work? And you've heard the answer before and you think you know, but you always go back and check with Tony, you go back and check with Cindy, you go back and check with Ann just to make sure we're doing what we need to do. And it's the oversight that's exhausting and the interactions with personnel and parents that's exhausting, but we do it because we want to make sure we prioritize the health and safety of families so that they can come, children can come to school and learn in person. And we pulled that off. And again, we came back, and this is an example here of our 5th grade class at Los Robles with Maestra Jessica, and the kids created their own cushions and literally enjoying outside in-person learning. And meanwhile, while all this was going on, we hired new team members, a new CBO, a new principal at the Castaño School of the Arts. Michelle Masuda, the principal at Bellahaven Elementary School, and Robin Payne Maganetas, the principal at Castaño School of the Arts, also merged 2 school communities. This was the first year we happened to have to merge 2 school communities, and they did that quite successfully while remote. We have a new governance team this past year coming together. And I have to say we're working really well and very pleased with the effectiveness and the impact that we're making with students. Staff had to learn new ways of teaching, and students had to learn how to learn remotely, and new platforms and new technology and new websites and things, you know, that we wanted to explore to see how well we can help engage students in the content while we're teaching from home and students are learning from home. We are ready, well, we're getting ready to launch one of our largest summer school learning programs with about 600 students, which is about 1/3 of our student population. Summer school starts June 28th. We had our CNI team, our director, Lara Berenin, who's helped lead us through development of the LCAP, and we've had several people on our cabinet team members help write the LCAP, Tony Stone, Jennifer Graham, Cindy Chen, and we presented, and we're going to present that later on this evening for the board to consider to approve, along with updating our strategic plan with Ann Roy, connecting with all of our directors who are owners of many milestones. So not only were we launching remote learning and figuring out how to bring students back at the same time, but our directors were also owners of milestones that we want to accomplish to make transformational change here in Ravenswood. Will Eager, our CBO, has helped us make our budget transparent, working with budget owners, which are our directors and school site principals, to align our money so it's aligned to the goals and objectives that we want to accomplish, and it's what we value as Ravenswood to help make change in our district. And also working closely with the foundation, so it's clear how we want to allocate our funds, so that we can actually make significant improvements, not only in student achievement, but more importantly too, how students feel when they are at school. And oh yeah, there's still a lot of innovative things happening. You know, we have fantastic teachers who went over and beyond to do great work. Like, I can't say enough. When we talked about CSEA and the meals and the technology devices that were provided for our families, but the teachers day in and day out who were actually in the homes of all of their kids and observing and interacting, and you know, that compassion fatigue that they endured. Amidst all of that too, there were successes. And like, we sent kids to the World's Robotic Championships, and we had a 7th grader, I think a 6th grader, place 3rd in the world, right? And here we have our RTA son, Jalen here, who also participated. And we can't count out Ravenswood. Ravenswood does great things because we know how to do hard things. And I want to just extend my gratitude to the team again, 2021-22 school year, we are ready to bring all of our students back on campus. And we want to make sure that the initiatives that we put in place, we execute well, implementing our strategic priorities, implementing our LCAP goals, and making sure that we provide to the board evidence of the progress that we are going to make in 21-22 school year. So thank you. And again, thank you to the directors, Tony Stone, Lotta Brennan, Jennifer Grabham, Will Eager, Solomon Hill, Cindy Chen, Delma Camacho. And then we had two consultants who we worked really closely with, June Richardson and Ann Roy. Thank you so much for making this happen.
Thank you. I will open the floor if we have comment from the board.
Through the chair, I just want to say, if anyone had any doubt who the true heroes are in this world, I think you just got the presentation. You just got the answer. It's all these folks right here. I can't think of one other organization. I'm really like, do we do that? Okay, Street Code, oh, not quite. Did they do that? Not quite. They're giving food literally to every student in the community, just by the way, not just Ravenswood students. They're giving devices. I think I saw over 3,000 devices. There's emotional care, there's counseling, there are backpacks, there's equipment, there are learning hubs, spaces to come even before we had opened. I mean, and just the amount of creativity and flexibility, creative design, all of that that you had to do to figure out how to maneuver throughout this entire like past year and a half. It's incredible. Like, I don't know if this was just the Earth's lesson in like creative design for all of us. Like, let's just see how flexible y'all really are. Here's some real PD for everybody. But this was like, it was amazing, not at the time and not through it all. It was not amazing to go through, but like to sit back and reflect now on the ingenuity and on the like genuine human touch points of support that the district has provided. Like, that's insanely amazing. Literally insanely amazing. Where's our PR? Let's go. Like, that should be everywhere. So just on behalf of myself, thank you to everybody who had a part in all of that. That, like, literally, I can't believe it. It's amazing. And thank you so much, all y'all, literally.
I also just want to shout out everything that Tam said and Trustee Jabomaheen said, and just the impact the teachers in the midst of all of this too, the teachers were teaching content and teaching it well. And I want to put that out there because I think there's always some type of, I think there's a narrative that's not true. And what I want to say to our community and to everyone around us, come and see, come and be here, be part of our community, because our community is meeting the needs of our students and our community is also meeting the educational needs of our students. And I will say it because I can say it from experience. And I know I said this before, but I also want to just say, you know, like, I feel like our kids are our biggest testimonies. And one of the things that she said to me was, Mommy, it's not fair for the kindergartners next year. And I said, why? She's like, because they get to be in the same classroom with the same teacher the whole year. And so that the community that our schools have made for even our smallest, littlest ones, they understand the value, they know the value. And I mean, they're a little clearly jealous. We have to work on that, but jealous of the value that other kids are going to get. But I want to say, like, come and see what our district is about. And if you want, I'm sure that presentation can go up somewhere so people can access it as well. Read it again, listen to it again, watch it again, because it's just amazing. And the impact is something that's a foundation that can only be built on. So thank you so much for our leadership team, for our teachers, for our staff, our administrators, every single person, and all of the things that Ravenswood has accomplished. I'm just so proud to be a part of and to see and experience.
Through the chair. Superintendent Sudari, I thank you very much for that presentation. Every school district went through the exact same thing, but every school district did not come out of it the same way. And I have to say that between talking with all the teachers who've been former Ravenswood teachers who are now spread out all over the place we all still keep in touch, and we all still knew what was happening in all the districts. And I think Ravenswood did it right, taking in every consideration that they needed, and every learning style, and every teacher's needs, and every student's needs, and every family member's needs. We did not do a cookie cutter quarantine school. We made sure that it was adaptable to the needs of our community. And thank you so much to everybody who helped that. Wow, this was a tough year, and Ravenswood strong. One Ravenswood, we get it done. Thank you.
Well done to the team. I think we can all say that this is a time for y'all to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out and pat yourselves on the back for a job well done. I think to come out with the team that we have currently, I feel like we have a lot of the right people in the right places. Superintendent Sudaria, I don't think I have to say much, but this is your first year, and I feel like you did an amazing job being able to lead and make sure that we stayed on top of our goals, regardless of if we were in a pandemic or not. And so I want to say kudos to you, kudos to our team, kudos to our staff across the district. Job well done. It wasn't easy. We were going into the unknown, but I do believe in what Trustee Alexander said when, I feel like we did do right by the families, and we did adapt in areas that we needed to. And so I just want to say thank you all, and thanks for this presentation. I'm going to post it on my Facebook wall for all to see. If there's any public comment, now is your time. If not, we will move on.
Through the chair, Rhonda White has her hand up. So I will promote you, Rhonda.
RTA President, Rhonda White.
Possibly parent, Rhonda White.
You're right, I stand corrected.
Ms. White, you may speak.
I missed whatever you said, Ms. Mele, during the queuing, because I got, you got cycled in. So if you said something that I need to hear, I totally missed it.
I said RTA President, Rhonda White.
Oh, okay. Well, that's me. That's me. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on the behalf of the teachers. This was a very challenging year. We learned a lot. We persevered. We kicked, we screamed, we fought, we argued, we did all those great things for the benefit for our kids and for our students. Me personally, I've had the pleasure of having my son Jalen there since kindergarten, and Miss Sudaria referred to him as RTA's child, and I was like, and he is RTA's child. He's also Ravenswood City School District child. He's literally been there since kindergarten, and he finished in 8th grade. And I had been so looking forward to his 8th grade year because there's some amazing teachers. And so Nicole Sullivan, Maestra Reina, and Tina Collier showed up and showed out in a way that has been amazing and awesome for my family and for Jalen. So we're so super excited for that. So personally, I wanted to say thank you because my kids attend the district that I also work in and am also passionate about. And then for Superintendent Sudaria's recap of this year, it was just amazing to see how we came together and all the things that we did for the kids of Ravenswood. And so I just want to say, no matter if we're arguing, if we're fussing, if we're fighting, we are here for the students, for the kids. And I've had the pleasure of being in a turnaround arts training for the last 3 days that have been simply amazing. And just something I want to leave everybody with is, let's not return to what we used to do pre-pandemic. Let's continue to be innovative, creative, content, rigorous, culturally responsive and the brain and all that for our kids, meeting them where they are and hoping that the adults will adapt to them, because our kids come with funds of knowledge in which they have been doing great things and will continue to do even greater things. So on behalf of the teachers, we look forward to continuing to work with the board and her directors and the superintendent personally so that we can move forward and continue to put Ravenswood on the map. Because I'm like what Miss Jenny said, there's a narrative being told about Ravenswood that's just not right. So come out and come see and get current on your narrative that you're not sure about. So just thank you. One Ravenswood.
Thank you. And if there's no other comment, we will move on to item number 8B, which is the fourth quarterly report on one's uniform complaint. Yes.
So these are one of the items that we're grateful to have had Nellie remind us to put on the board agenda. So we now have a governance calendar that has these items here. But every district is required to have or adopt a complaint procedure. And it's to include complaints regarding instructional materials, facilities, teacher misassignments, or vacancies. And we have to post the notices in every classroom informing the public of the textbook sufficiency standard and the facility standard and the availability of the complaint forms. And we're happy to share with you that there were no complaints filed with any of our schools in the district during 2020-2021 fourth quarter.
Wonderful.
It's just information.
So now we will move on, unless we have any comments. I see none. So we will move on to item number 9, which is curriculum and instruction. And we will go to 9A, which is LCAP local indicators.
Go ahead, Laura.
Good evening, members of the board. This is Laura Berenin, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and I'll be presenting on the local indicators this evening, along with Cindy Chin, Director of Student Services. And I will start my presentation once the screen sharing is enabled by the host.
Let's see. Maybe were you able to?
You should be able to now.
Okay. Okay, so the local indicators are to be presented as an information item alongside the approval of our LCAP this evening. This is a reminder of the 8 state priority areas identified and on which we must address through our LCAP. The indicators are, the priorities are measured in 2 different ways. The column that you see here under state indicator shows measures that are collected by the state through centralized data. The local indicators on the right-hand side are the ones that we're reporting on this evening. And those are required for districts to self-reflect and then share that self-reflection with the board and with stakeholders. Okay, so priority 1 is basic conditions at school. The first area is appropriately assigned teachers, and this data shows the 1920 school year, which is what we report at this time of year. The second area is access to curriculum, which shows the results of our Williams inspection from the fall, alongside the results of our Williams inspection for facilities. So you can see that we had 0 students without access to their own copies of standards aligned instructional materials this year. And then we had a few misassignments of teachers last year, and we had some areas where facilities did not meet the good repair standard on our facilities review. Priority 2 is implementation of state academic standards. The areas in this self-reflection are given as a rubric where we can rate ourselves, and I'll go through them so you can see. So the first one is progress in providing professional learning for teaching to the adopted academic standards and curriculum frameworks identified below. So you can see we're in kind of a range of areas depending on the content area. So for example, with next generation science standards, we rated ourselves in beginning development. And as we implement the new curriculum adoption for K-5 and start the curriculum pilot for NGSS in grades 6 through 8, we'll move into initial implementation. The next area is progress in making standards aligned instructional materials available in all classrooms where the subject is taught. So you can see a range of implementation here. The next area is progress in implementing policies or programs to support staff in identifying areas where they can improve in delivering standards aligned instruction. So again, you can see a range of progress here from beginning development to full implementation. The next area is progress in implementing the following academic standards adopted by the State Board for all students. So including CTE, health education content standards, physical education, visual and performing arts, and world language. The next area is success at engaging in the following activities with teachers and school administrators during the prior school year. So one is identifying the professional learning needs of groups of teachers or staff as a whole. One is identifying the professional learning needs of individual teachers, and another is providing support for teachers on the standards they have not yet mastered. The third priority is parent involvement and family engagement. So Cindy will speak to this one.
Thank you, Laura. If you can move to the next slide. And so we focused first on the building relationships between staff, school staff and families. And you'll see there that we are primarily in the initial implementation for those 4 areas. And then the next slide digs in a little bit into what that means. And so we had already been adjusting our conference times to meet the needs of families for our report card conferences. For our parent meetings, we do have interpretation. And then the composition of our school site councils and our district advisory councils do have parent involvement. And things that we started to change this year, and that's why it was initial implementation, were all of those virtual meetings and really trying to engage families through the pandemic, the family workshops, and then implementing the two-way communication system. So ideally focusing on those, we should be able to move towards full implementation next year in some of the categories at least. And then building partnerships for student outcomes, you can see it's a little more, some in the beginning stages and then some in the initial implementation. And again, in the next slide, you can see where it digs in a little bit more detail. All right, so we had already been meeting with families and then connecting with various nonprofits in the community to try and address student needs. And things that we've changed really is some of the technology platforms and the softwares that we use and how we support staff and families in order to have those platforms used, during the school day and then accessible at home. And then also we have developed a tool to use with our to help evaluate with our ongoing partnerships to see if we want to continue moving forward with those partnerships as the years progress. And then seeking input for decision making. You'll see a little bit more there is in the beginning development stages, because that's really a bit more about providing getting more direct input and decision making from families. In the next slide. Right, so we already hold these meetings, right? We hold the school site councils, we hold the DAC-DLAC meetings, and at school sites they have family event committees. And this year, our superintendent began to host the community and action meetings to leave a space for families to ask questions or to provide comments, in a more open forum. And then also began to survey families, and then really trying to be more active about seeking input as opposed to just holding a meeting and really getting the feedback from families. And then priority 6 is for school climate. So we have the results from our California Healthy Kids Survey. These survey results focus on our 7th graders, primarily because our 5th grade students did not meet the threshold in terms of how many students completed the survey. So that's why we didn't get a report on the students for 5th grade. So for 7th grade, 36% of the students did that survey. So that means 70 students completed the survey. Of the 70, 86 of the students were chose to do distance learning. And I think that's primarily during the time of giving the survey. I think that the survey was released right before the students were given the option to come back on campus. So most of these are during distance learning. And so we wanted to focus on the relationships. And so we pulled out the data to highlight for you here about adult and peer relationships. So 68% report having supportive adults, 61% report supportive peer relationships. A bit alarming, though, is for our social and emotional health, 58% reported experiencing sadness or hopelessness. And so what we have planned, particularly for the middle school, right, is a real emphasis on building relationships and then continuing the mental health support access through counselors at school sites and Care Solace.
Priority 7 is access to a broad course of study. So this priority asks about course access for students across demographic groups and across all content areas. So the first question for reflection is, what local measures or tools are used to track the extent to which all students have access to a broad course of study? And so the thing to know here is that the major measure or tool that we use is our master schedule through Infinite Campus to ensure that students are enrolled in all the necessary courses, and that enrollment then helps to ensure that all of those courses show up on the student's report card. So using that master schedule for each school site is one of the main measures that we use. And all of our students receive the same enrollment in courses across grades and content areas. And then we also do an analysis to see, based on student grades, kind of as a proxy for deeper engagement or access, to see how student access looks there. So when we look at student report card grades under meeting at least approaching meeting or exceeding standard, or at least a letter grade of C in middle school, when we look at those two measures, we find that that our TK through 5th grade students have a more substantial range of access than our middle school students. And then we also make note that our students with disabilities receive appropriate support based on their needs as indicated by their IEP. And so those supports are helping to ensure access for students with disabilities as well. Another question in this part of the reflection asks, what identified barriers prevent Ravenswood from providing access to a broad course of study for all students? And we are definitely attempting to directly address many of the identified barriers through the actions described in our 21-24 LCAP, which we presented in great detail in the previous meeting. And we also developed it through significant stakeholder feedback and engagement. So a few of the barriers that are internal to school that we've identified over the course of several years completing the LCAP local indicators include unconscious bias or racism, staffing retention or turnover or uneven training, student English proficiency levels, student attendance or relationships between students and staff. So you might recognize some of those themes and connect to the full LCAP we presented at the last meeting. A few of the factors external to school that we think are important to name include institutional racism, poverty, housing, transportation or food insecurity, student and family trauma, and parent education levels. And so thinking about what we will do to ensure access to a broad course of study for all students, there are elements of our strategic plan and our LCAP that address these areas, including ongoing focused professional development, coaching and feedback for teachers, instructional leaders and other staff, training for staff on unconscious biases, culturally relevant practices, inclusive classrooms and partnering with families, recruiting and retaining highly qualified credentialed staff, and strategies to improve ELD instruction and increase the number of students who reclassify as fluent English proficient. And so the local indicators that we're sharing with you now are connected to our LCAP and to the California dashboard, which holds all of the accountability measures that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. So we use the reflection on these indicators along with all of our stakeholder input to identify needs. We examine the measures or metrics that we're using to measure progress in these areas. We developed our LCAP actions, which we've presented to you at the prior meeting, and we communicate with families and other stakeholders by presenting the local indicators tonight as an example, by making our LCAP and strategic priorities available to the community through our website, through engagement meetings, etc. And then this is also a cyclical process. So we reflect each year on our progress in these areas and report out to you and to our community. So that concludes our information item.
Thank you. I will open the floor for discussion. Do we have any questions or comments?
Through the chair, I have a question.
Trustee Alexander?
The low completion rate of the survey, did we know what accounted for that? Was it just because we were in distance learning and so it was hard for the teachers? I know it's normally you would give it during classroom time.
Yeah, I think that was the hardest part. And then also for the fifth grade, that one for sure was an opt-in. So you had the opt-in, so sending out the permission slips to families. We had a pretty low return rate there. And then, the low return rate from opting in, and then it cut down on the percentage of once they got the link, how many actually did the survey for fifth grade.
And then for seventh grade?
Seventh grade was an opt-out. And so the link was sent to all of the families except for the 2 seventh grade families who opted out. And I do believe that was primarily because of it being during distance learning time. And so the teachers weren't able to remind or kind of hover to make sure that it was getting done in the same way.
All right, thank you.
I see no hands raised and no more comments. So we will move on to item 9B, which is the consideration to approve and adopt Ravenswood 21-24 Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP.
Thank you. So it is my honor to present our 2021 to 2024 LCAP to you this evening for your approval. We held a public hearing at our last meeting on June 10th for consideration, and we also made ample opportunity for the public to comment and for all stakeholders to give input. And so on this agenda item, you'll see a range of attachments that include our LCAP with all required components. That is the document up for approval this evening. And then for everyone's reference, we also have our SELPA consultation letter, We have a version of the LCAP that only has the goals, actions, et cetera, for 2021 through 2024, so the forward-looking part of the document. We also have an overview graphic that's helpful for reference to see our goals, a summary of our goals and actions. And then we also have our superintendent's written response to LCAP feedback based on the stakeholder engagement we've done over the last month and including from our public hearing.
I'll open the floor for comment. I see none. So I will entertain a motion to approve item 9B.
I will make a motion. I'll make a motion to approve item 9B.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomihi,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Now we will move on to item number 10, which is from the business department, and we will be at 10A, the consideration to approve the 2021-2022 budget. Everybody's favorite word.
Thank you, Trustee Latu. After I think, I don't even know, 10 hours of talking about this, I don't really have very much to add at this point. So I'll be brief here and just highlight that we've attached the sort of formal documents that we have, as well as a slightly updated version of the presentation that we gave last time. We have not made substantive changes to what we presented last time and what we're attaching today. We did find and address some small sort of mistakes on our end, and those are reflected here. We've also included, somewhat importantly, just a note in the presentation about positions that are being retained with stimulus funds as part of a sort of compliance exercise there. So that has been added to the presentation there as an additional slide. Other than that, I don't have very much to say beyond what's been said, but happy to take any questions if there are any.
I will open the floor for comment. I see none. I'll also open it to the public as well. I see none. So I will entertain a motion to approve item number 10A, the 2021-2022 budget.
Through the chair, I'll go for it.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget for next school year, item 10A.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomihi,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
And the motion carries 5-0. So now we will go on to item 10B, which is a public hearing. Just an update to the board. Last time we were approving before comment and approving at the top. For a public hearing going forward, we just approve at the beginning and then approve at the end. Does that make sense?
We have to make a motion to
so yes,
open
at the
the
beginning. So at the beginning of the hearing, I will entertain a motion. And then the next time will be during the closing. So instead of opening up, entertaining another motion to open up for comment, it will just go to public comment during that section. The only other time so is at the top and at the bottom. So I just wanted to make that clarification because last time we were open and closing during comment and then at the end. So it's just at the top and at the end. So I will entertain a motion to open item 10B, which is the public hearing regarding temporary transfers of monies between funds for payment of obligations.
I will, through the chair, make a motion to open the floor for public hearing. for the consideration to approve temporary funding.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomahid,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will kick it off to you, Will.
Thank you. I'll begin by apologizing for this public hearing on behalf of the county and the state. They require us to both balance our books at the end of the year, which often requires moving money between funds. This is something that's fairly normal. It's often included in our budget. This year, for whatever reason, they actually asked us to host a public hearing to do the resolution to authorize us to move money between funds to close out our books and balance each fund in a sort of balanced way. Don't have a lot more to say than that. I really hope you approve this. If you don't approve this, I don't actually know what happens, but we won't be able to balance our funds. So I don't really know that you have a choice not to approve this tonight, but happy to hear from members of the public or any questions that may come up. And I'll stop there.
Well,
So
there's always a choice, but there's a good and not so good choice. So, for the record.
You do. That is correct. I was not trying to detract from your autonomy. I just should say I don't actually know what happens if you don't approve this. It's unclear in the regulations there.
So at this time, I will open the floor and give the opportunity for the members of the public as well as the board to comment on this matter. And I see no hands. So
Through the chair, do I have to read part of it since it's a resolution? I'm seeing a nod of yes from somebody. Yeah. So
yes.
just tell me when I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah. So yeah. At this time, I'm about to close the hearing and then jump to the next one, which is when we vote. So I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing regarding temporary transfers of monies between funds or payment of obligations per Education Code 42603-.1.1.
I entertain the motion to close the hearing since we have no speakers.
I second.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomahid,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Motion carries 5-0. We'll close. Sorry. Motion carries. We will close the hearing and move on to item 10C, consideration to approve resolution 2020-2021-26, authorizing 2020-2021 year-end temporary interfund transfer.
Through the chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 10C, resolution 2020-2021-26.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can you read the resolution, please? Or just a sentence.
Resolution for temporary interfund transfer loan at year end. Whereas, etc.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomahid,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Aye.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We will move on to item 10D, which is a consideration to approve resolution 2020-2021-27 for 2020-2021 budgetary increases and transfers at year end.
Similar to the prior resolution, Education Code also requires all districts to request the county superintendent to make and be authorized to make certain transfers. As part of that, the board needs to authorize the county superintendent to comply with that section of Ed Code. So this sort of enables us to continue making sort of year-end close maneuvers here.
Thank you. I'll open the floor for public comment and comment from the board. I see none. So, sorry, am I being hasty? I see none. So I will entertain a motion to approve item 10D. Consideration to approve resolution 2020-2021-27.
Through the chair, I'll make a motion to approve item 10D, resolution 2020-2021-27.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Can you read a sentence of the resolution, please?
Unmute.
All right. So resolution 2021-2021-27, resolution for budgetary increases and transfers at year end, whereas.
Roll call, please.
President Latu,
Aye.
Vice President Shibomihin,
Aye.
Trustee Alexander,
Aye.
Trustee Polito,
Hi.
Trustee Bloom.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We will now move on to item number 11, which is from the Board of Trustees. We will go to 11B, which is board reports and communications.
One thing, it was really great to be at all the celebrations. I think that has happened since our last board meeting, of all the graduations at all the different schools, the groundbreaking ceremony, also meeting Steve Young. It was great. I think there were a lot of trustees that were super excited. Trustee Shibomihin and I are originally from Texas, so we will leave it there. And then one thing that I did want to say is I was very thankful, and it was exciting to be there, and just the buzz to see the kids and the teachers and the families and the parents. It was just great to see how amazing it was to be celebrating our community and education in our community and the kids and where they will be going. So that was exciting. The second thing I do want to say is, I think a lot of us have gotten this information in another place, but Job Trade is hosting an in-person job fair on Wednesday, June 3rd. Walk-ins are welcome. So if you are looking for a job, that's a great place to go. It's in Menlo Park. And there are flyers, and it will be, I think it is already posted on the city's website. And so feel free to contact me, and I can also send it your way.
Through the chair, Trustee Bloom got that one. I had that one on my thing also. I want to, first of all, remind everybody, all 9 of the people who are attendees listening, if you live in East Palo Alto or Bellhaven, please do not be setting off fireworks at all hours of the day and night. 1, it is illegal, and 2, it is dangerous right now, and 3, it's scaring my animals. And then the second thing is, I want to remind everybody, and this, you do not have to be a resident of East Palo Alto, but I am putting into the chat to everybody right now to please fill out the survey for the urban forest. There's a prize for anybody who feels, you could be entered to win a prize if you fill it out. So please, if you have not filled out the urban forest survey, please do it. And again, it was a great school year. I look forward to the break over the summer for a little bit, the hard work we're going to do, and the next school year coming up.
To the chair, I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I want to make sure I do. Just congratulations to everybody for ending another school year. It was a tough one, but we got through it together. And, to Superintendent Sadaria's presentation, a lot was accomplished, even with the obstacles and the challenges of the school year. So kudos to our staff, to our students and our families and our community. And yeah, it was great attending the groundbreaking ceremony. There's much more work to be done at all of our school sites. So I look forward to the future projects that will also be a part of our to-do list. Thank you.
Through the chair, one other thing, and I looked at myself and said, how could I forget this? I want to thank everybody who came out to raise the Progress Pride flag this week over at the district office. And that was it. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who did that. If you didn't see it, check all the social medias. It was great.
I don't have anything, President Malty.
I just want to say thank you all for a great year. Thank you to the board. Thank you to district staff. Thank you to all of our staff across the board. Congratulations to our 8th graders that promoted. Congratulations to all those that promoted. And I'm excited. Please stay safe. Think twice before you do anything. But for the most part, I hope that you all have a wonderful summer. And I will move on to item number 11C. So our next regular board meeting will be held on August 12th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. We will continue to work out logistics regarding in-person and virtual board meetings going forward, especially coming into the new school year. So we will continue to update the public accordingly. And so at 9:15 p.m., I will adjourn the Ravenswood City School District Governing Board meeting of June 24th. Have a wonderful summer. Have a wonderful night. Take care and be safe, everyone. Bye.
Bye.